For the past couple of years, this second to last step, post and handrail have seen better days. I only use these stairs about 3 times a year, so I've been putting this repair off. But I recently got a new dog, Sadie the Silver Golden Doodle, and have to use these steps probably 10 to 15 times a week. She's scared to go down them. I just keep conscious of the rut and step in the middle where the support is, and it's all good. But my son does not know that. He does not know the ways of the lazy homeowner, so he accidentally stepped right in the middle where the support's not at, and this is the condition that it's in now. Now the dog will not go up or down the stairs, so I've got to make this repair. In order for me to get this step out of here, I'm also going to have to remove this post. It is connected to the top of the stair, as you can see, and it is also rotted really bad. The handrail has some rot on the end, but with all the spindles there, it's held into place pretty well. I may tackle that project separately after I get the stair and the post replaced. And I'm considering changing out these top 2 steps as well. It just all depends on how much lumber is and what size I can get. So stay tuned to the end to see if I change these out as well. So I'm definitely a DIYer. I'm not a deck builder. I wouldn't know where to begin if I was starting from scratch. So in order to replace this rotten lumber, I'm going to go ahead and take measurements and draw a diagram so that as I take it apart, it's going to be easy to put back together. Now that we have our measurements, let's go ahead and replace the rot. Whenever you're removing rot from a deck, you got to be careful because there could be some other wood that's not completely rotted, but also not as strong as they once were. In this case, the stair stringers are not rotted, but they're a little iffy. So I wish I would have used my Sawzall to go ahead and try to cut the screws here instead of using a pry bar, because as you'll see here in a minute, that stringer would not hold up. And now we have a whole new problem: how to repair this stringer. The good news is, at least the rest of the stringer is not rotten. I'm sure there's a better way to take this step off, but I'm kind of learning as I go here. Matter of fact, for you experienced folks out there that are watching this video, leave a comment below and let me know how you would have taken the step off. The same way I did, or is there a better method? And I'll probably need to know because I got those 2 steps up top that I want to do later. And yes, I did forget to hit the record button there, but I did use the Sawzall to go ahead and saw that off so I could get a little bit better angle of getting the nails out. And here's the condition of the other two stringers. As you can tell, this one here had a slight crack, like it was going to break, similar to the other. So good thing we didn't apply much force onto that one. And this one here is a little bit soft. That's a little bit concerning, but I think since we've got that rotted piece of wood off, this may be okay. And here's the main one that we're going to have to address. Now, just a quick dry fit. We did have them cut this board at 47 inches, which is too long, but we wanted to go ahead and make our final measurements and our final cuts here at the house. So let's go ahead and do that. In my measurement, I did set the step off about 1/4 inch from the brick. That way some air and water can get around, and it'll also match all the others. And I'll go ahead and mention, the purpose of this DIY job today is just trying to get a few more years of life out of this deck. My goal sometime in the future is to film a project of me building a new deck, and I wanted it to go from basically the full length of the house, and you'll have a little bit better stair system, have a concrete patio underneath. So that'll be a future project, but for now, I'm just kind of repairing it and hope it lasts. And this is how often I do not cut wood. I did not set the depth of my blade, so at my first pass through, I didn't get all the way through the thickness of the wood, so I had to make another pass. Kind of messed up. I had a little bit of a squiggly line because of that, but you know, you live and you learn. Next time I'll be sure to set the depth of my blade. Oh damn, I didn't go all the way through. God dang it. So I went back, reset the depth of my blade, and let's try this again. So after I finished my cut, I realized I have a little bit extra wood left, and that may be what will help me repair my stair stringer. So let's go see if that will work. Yep, I think this is going to work. I'm going to go ahead and mark the angle of the stringer on the bottom and get it cut, and I'm going to use this as, I guess, my new stringer. It's going to hold my step up. And we'll use these 2.5 inch wood screws to fasten this piece of wood to the stringer. So I want to use this level to see if the stringers are level or if they're slanted slightly backwards or slightly forward. In this case, they're slanted slightly backwards. So my new piece of wood needs to kind of carry that same angle so everything sets flush. Quick tip here, when you're putting your stair tread down, make sure to look at both sides and see which one looks better. In this case, the top side that I put up had a harder knot in it. On the other side, you could still see the knot, but it looked more appealing, I guess. So I would have preferred to have that side up in the beginning. I later on went back and changed that, but it'll save you a little bit of time if you go ahead and take a look before you do this. And it's also a good reason to use screws, because had I not used screws, I wouldn't be able to have made that change. And what I'm doing here is I'm checking the gap between the stair tread and the stringer on each one. As you can tell, there's a little bit of a gap on that one, but that's kind of consistent with the way the steps are all the way up. So I'm just kind of matching it up. I don't know if it's better to have it tight against that wood. I would imagine it would be, to keep water from getting down in there. But I'm just kind of matching it up for now. Like I said, hoping to make this thing last a couple of years only. So I'm trying to pre-drill when possible. That way maybe I can prevent some splitting. You don't want to split this wood because it's so expensive. And my apologies for the dog barking. That is not my dog. That dog is like 10 yards away, but he barks non-stop. So I'm going to use this piece of scrap wood to fill the void from where the stringer broke. When I install this post, I'm going to have to screw into something, so this isn't the exact shape that needs to be, but I think it's going to serve the purpose as far as having something to screw into for this post. It's about a 40-degree angle. .40-degree angle. And see, at a 40-degree, you're going to get this. So now that I'm ready to cut the angle at the top of my 4x4 post, I was trying to figure out what the angles of my others were, but I realized the reason those rotted was not because of the angle, but because it had a flat surface on the top. That's where the rot started. So as you can see here online, you want to have at least a 30-degree angle for it to be able to shed water, so that's what I'm going to cut mine at. And this isn't too shabby for your first time ever cutting a 4x4 post. And this here is why I wanted to try to keep that old rotten piece intact so I can make some quick, easy measurements like this. It's also why I cut the angles at the top of the 4x4 before actually cutting it to length. I had to go back and clean up a little bit on the 4x4 cuts at the top, so I didn't want the post to be too short, so I went ahead and made all those cuts and then measured it up against the old one to cut it to length. So, a lot of firsts for me in this video. This is the first attempt I've ever made at cutting a half-lap joint. I'm going to need a half-lap joint in order to install this post. And most of the videos I saw online use this circular saw method I'm about to use, but I kind of wish I would have used just a reciprocating saw to cut a straight line, basically a straight line, then come down, cut a nail. Because if you don't have the right chisel or the right technique, you do not get a flat surface when you do it this way, which was my issue, and it caused a little bit of issue on the install. Like I mentioned earlier, you live and you learn. I did not forget to measure the depth of my saw blade this time. And this is the mess I was talking about. It's hard to clean up if you don't have a good sharp chisel or the proper chisel. So I'm having a little bit of issue getting level. Once I get level, the bottom sticks out a little bit too much. I think it has something to do with my half-lap joint, so I'm going to try to clean that up and see if it helps. Alright, I hope that helps. But now I'm going to go ahead and clean out this area here so I can add in some more bracing. Shit, what the hell? Get. As you can tell, I was taking a whole lot of L's right here. So on the bright side, I do have enough wood left to fill the purpose of why I'm putting it here. So I'm going to go ahead and roll with it and just be done with it. So it's not pretty, but like I said, it is going to serve its purpose. As you can tell when I put it on the post here, now I have something to screw into. Now, once I put the post on, I'm not going to be able to move the step around, so I'm going to go ahead and take these screws out, flip the step, and see if the other side looks better. And what I'll do here is take one final look at both sides just to see which one I like better for the presentation side. And I was right, I like the side that I've just flipped it to now. The knots don't look as rough. Now these screws are not long enough for this purpose, but what I'm going to do is go ahead and put 3 in there to hold it into place. Again, these steps don't get used that much, so it should be fine. Then I'm going to go to Lowe's, get one of those big screws that's going to go all the way through all 3 pieces of wood we see here. So here are a few pictures about a week after completion, and as you can tell, it's holding up nicely. I think I'm going to wait for another video to put in those long screws to support that 4x4 post better. And in that video, I'm also going to change out the 2 top steps and also put in a new 2x6 handrail for the one that's rotted there. It's going to take a little bit of twisting to get that thing into place, so I think all that'll be good for another video. But I appreciate you stopping by and watching, and if you have any questions, please leave a comment below or any instructions on how to do this better. But don't forget to like the video if you made it this far, and think about subscribing.